Hi, I'm Moon Teitel, founder of Presence Heals and coach at the Women's Wellness Circle. And today I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Ellie Paskell. And today we're going to have a conversation about trauma in the Women's Wellness Circle membership community. The healing theme for our month has been trauma. And Ellie's here today to share with us some of her journey in healing from trauma. And to start off with, let's just take a moment and close our eyes and place one hand on our hearts and one hand on our bellies and just breathe together. Just settling in with the breath into your body and into the space we're sharing together in this time. And from this space with one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, allowing roots to just travel down and unfold from your feet, from your legs, and from your pelvis. Down through the floor, through the layers of soil, rock, and earth beneath you. Traveling down, down, deep into Mother Earth. And traveling down into the core of the earth. Finding somewhere in the core of the earth to wrap your roots around a rock or a crystal. And with your next inhale, inviting the healing energies of Mother Earth to travel up through your roots, all the way up, up, up through your roots to enter your body. And as you breathe, just inviting the healing energies of Mother Earth to fill your entire body, every cell, every space between the cells. Feel your blood, muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments, your internal organs. Just allowing all of them to be deeply nourished by Mother Earth. And as you're completely full, just opening up like a tree, your branches stretching into the sky, expanding into Father Sky, letting yourself open up and just drink in the medicine and the energy of Father Sky. And as you exhale, inviting that to travel down into your body, filling your entire body. The medicine and the healing energies and blessings of Father Sky. And inviting that expansion to mix with the grounded healing energies of Mother Earth in your body. Allowing your heart to open. Embrace yourself. As you feel ready, slowly opening your eyes and coming back into the space that we all share together. Knowing that at any time, if this conversation becomes challenging or triggering for you, you can place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and return to this grounded, centered place within. So glad to be here with you today, Ellie.
Yeah, I'm really, really glad to be here also, and thank you for that practice.
Welcome. So I'd love if you wanted to talk about and to share. I know you've had some really powerful experiences with trauma healing on your path to wellness, and I'd love if you would share about how you encountered that and what practices you were doing, and how that impacted and improved your health.
Yeah, thank you. I really love your words there, how I encountered that. What has been moving through me, knowing that we were going to have this chat, was how my heart contextualizes my experience with trauma. So my knowing about my journey is that it doesn't just exist within my one lifetime, and it doesn't exist for me, just me as this one being. It exists as part of being here on this planet now, post 2012, which was a year which has been prophesized about this time, our generations, by sages and indigenous communities for a very long time, that there would be a huge period of shift and healing on the planet at this point. And as I say that, I have an image in my head which I drew years ago when I was in the midst of my trauma healing process, which was this image of me with all of this energy pouring through my body, of all the rainbow colors of the energy centers, and connecting me back with Mother Earth and the sky and everything else. And I know that my path of healing trauma needed to happen energetically the way that it did. And I'll say more about the modality in a bit. Because in this lifetime, I, as so many of us are being called to do, I'm called to step into my true power, to step into my awakeness and my sensitivity, in the sense of reconnecting with my body and my awareness of things like energy, things like how I and we connect with the planet, how emotion and thought and energy and body parts all go together, all linked up, because it's time for us to step into truth and integrity and feeling as a way to not only welcome ourselves in our full glory and joy and health, but through that to birth the world that we want to live in, that is healthy for our children, healthy for us, safe, conducive to joy, and conducive to what we're truly here for. Yeah. So that was a whole bunch of words. So I'm going to just take a breath and let that settle. And also, you know, if you're watching, it's likely that these words, this is a big topic for so many at this time. So it's likely that there's stuff moving, So I'm not going to be still in this chat. And I invite you, if there's ever at any point that you need to move or sound or just take a pause and breathe with what's alive, to do this. Yeah. So I'm going to take 3 breaths now and invite everyone watching to do the same, just noticing what's alive. Yeah. So, Moon, I could very much carry on, but I'm curious if there's any more that you want to say or ask before I...
So yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're saying that as you think about your own life and your own path of healing from trauma, you have this awareness of this larger context, that you're not just like one person in a tiny lifetime, in one single lifetime, all on your own, that you have this sense of the context of the time that we're in and the generations that have come before and the generations that are going to come after us, and that you really are experiencing your journey, your challenges, your struggles, and your triumphs within that context. Yeah. And is that correct? Okay. Yeah. So that sounds great. And I'd love to, yeah, just hear more kind of about the specifics of your journey within that larger context. You spoke a little bit to like this sense that you've had, and how you've been working in your life with um, embodiment and energies. And I'd love to hear more within the context of your trauma healing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So, what I learned from the first person who ever, so I had been from I guess it viscerally started in a way that I couldn't ignore it about 13 years ago for me in my 20s, and just this shutdown feeling that I started to feel, and I couldn't make sense of it except that I was tired. And I journeyed with that and dabbling with things like CBT therapy and psychotherapy and support groups, which was sort of my segue into healing, my beginning journey of something is wrong and I want some help, but nobody could really tell me what my soul was telling me, which was there is a piece here that is about your body and about your energy. And you are not just going to fix this by being here. And the first person who ever told me what I was knowing was Benjamin Fry, who is an amazing therapist, and he has created a clinic here in England called Chiron House. And this is the first clinic in England which does somatic experiencing therapy, which was created by Peter Levine, and talks about the notion of when somebody is traumatized, this is happening because there was a trauma, or perhaps it can be a series of little traumas that have happened. And because humans have cognition, we're able to stop what the body naturally does when, if we're in a traumatic situation, and it's a situation where we don't fight or run away, which is what the body wants to do in a frightening, life-threatening situation, the body freezes. And this can be to the level of catatonia, complete freeze, but more likely and very commonly, this trauma energy goes into a part of the body and is held there, or perhaps the whole body is frozen to a degree. So the person still looks normal and can walk around and talk, but perhaps emotionally and perhaps physically, some level of felt sensation is not there anymore. So again, this is big stuff. So I'm going to take a breath, and I invite you to do the same, and just breathe into your precious body and see what it's saying as this information lands. So taking 3 breaths together now. Yeah. And coming back whenever you feel ready. in your own time. Now, the human body and the psyche is an absolute masterpiece. And humans can hold trauma in this way, this trapped energy, this big energy that would have supported you to fight or run away if you had allowed it, for a whole lifetime. It can stay there for lifetimes. And as humans, particularly when we look at the past 100 years or just over in the West, there's been a whole lot of trauma that has needed to just be packed away and put away. And I think of it like it's just under invisibility cloaks in our bodies. That's how the mind works. It can just choose not to see things. And it's beautiful and clever and life-saving and necessary. And again, particularly in England, and this resonates with me so strongly because, of course, my immediate past family were in the First World War and the Second World War fighting. My granny was German, my grandpa was English, so huge amounts of energy from these conflicts. And these people needed to hold it in their bodies and keep calm and carry on. And now we hit the millennia and we hit a time when it's now time, and subconsciously some or perhaps all of us know it's time to bring back these parts of us, bring back the ancient wisdom, bring back the feeling so that we can use our innate intelligence, not just our minds, but our instincts, our intuitions, our wombs, our guts, our bellies, all of us to craft this new way of being. So we're waking up. So when a human could potentially hold trauma in their body for another lifetime, why now? So that's my knowing of why now for me and for many now. So my higher knowing, she took me, and it was complete magical serendipity. I didn't know I had trauma. I knew that I was guided to this clinic, books falling off the shelf, websites opening without me, things lining up. But then when I heard it's a trauma clinic, my whole heart sank. So I was like, I'm not traumatized. I can't go there. But my gut led me to have a meeting with Benjamin Fry. And he said to me what I've just explained about how trapped trauma gets stuck in the body. And this means that the nervous system can be kept on a loop. So we can become highly reactive people. For me, my body had become reactive in the sense of not going into anxiety that I could understand as anxiety or anger or rage or wanting to fight or run away. I wasn't aware of any of this. I was just aware of my precious body shutting down over and over and over. And as I say that, I'm taking a breath because I can feel my heart space opening. I can feel my third eye opening. And there's a really kind of young, sensitive element of me that I can feel coming on board. And she was beneath the shutdown. And she'd been asking me to be soft and to find somewhere safe, to let myself feel sadness that I could not understand why it was there. And the whole of my body, as I speak about this, is going in a little bit to this somatic shape. And she's almost like a character. And she's a part of me that did not feel safe in the world, that was so busy and so loud. And so my very wise self had created a very strong seeming, and the strength was true in some ways. It was there, it was real. It had a lot to do with me staying in my mind so I could keep a sense of strong, capable, successful woman in the world with a great career, great relationship, great flat. But there was this part of me going, I really have to lie down. She was like, I need to get soft. I need to feel safe so that something can happen. And for me, I had to go to a clinic to let it happen because it was I was so frightened to let this part of me be. And again, this is big in my system, and it may well be resonating with part of yours. So let's take 3 breaths together again, and I invite you to see what's alive as these words have dropped in. Just breathing, noticing what's in your body. Knowing that you can always send your awareness to that sense of those roots that Moon guided us to, or simply to tune in with the sounds around you, something that feels neutral for you if you need. Yeah, and coming back just as you're ready. Yeah. Yeah. So I remember after I got to the clinic, very quickly, my body started just to know what to do. And again, my body, my higher self, this knowing, this part of me who'd gone, yeah, this lifetime now, time to free this. And I started to twitch. And it was like suddenly I was connecting with this energy the size of Pluto that was in my tiny little body and needed to be freed and reintegrated. And so somatic experiencing guided me to reconnect with situations that had been challenging, big, frightening experiences from my life. For me, in this lifetime, the things that I knew about really things like dental operations, falling down the stairs, being present to a mugging when one of my family got mugged. Not easy things, but not enormous things. But I'll also say that this is not linear, and many of us are channeling and clearing out stuff from ancestors, from past lifetimes. I've seen things in my body which I can't correlate with my life of Ellie up to this year. It's not mine in this lifetime, but I'm here to clear it. And so there was huge amounts of this fight flight in my body. And so I see somatic experiencing, it supports us to return in the felt sense to those experiences and let the body do what it needs to do, which it needed to do, which it didn't do, which is often shake. For some people, it's huge amounts of energy that makes them want to run. Yeah. For some, it's simply getting very hot, tingling in the hands. This, body is freaking magic. It remembers. It knows, and the magic that I have seen, like for me, because I've been an actress, something that I used and still use to this day is what I now call character somatics. So very quickly rage started to come up in me. But my therapist saw it before I knew it was there, because it was not okay for me to be rageful growing up. And there's a lot of power in my body now saying this. So I needed to draw on other ways to connect that made it okay for me to be angry. And there was this character that I played for a long time, and she was my shadow, which I didn't understand. And she just freaking just hates the world and is so angry. And sometimes, even now, if I know that there's anger, but it doesn't feel socially acceptable to let myself feel it, but I'm like, I gotta feel this anger because I am no longer willing to suppress my energy and be anything other than in integrity and power and well-being for any reason that's not a good one to me. And pleasing someone else right now doesn't really work. So I take myself into the woods, and I'll take a long walk as Maxine. Maxine was her name. And she just, and the energy freaking flows. Like, again, the magic of this, I'm only at the beginning of it. And in a sense, I'm already bringing it into my work as a somatic soul coach. And even in teaching mindfulness at points, depending on what people bring to me. But like, sometimes if I'm blocking anger, a particular part of my body hurts because it's holding the anger, and I can see it, and I know that that's what's happening. So sometimes I'm like, all right, I just got to bring in Maxine. So I'm walking down the street and it hurts. I'm climbing up a slope and I bring in Maxine, and and to someone watching, it might see no difference. To me, I can feel these new energy channels open as I allow myself to feel this, and the pain goes away. And the first time that happened, I was like, this is enormous. And it makes total sense of things like, when people have multiple personality disorder, and in one of their characters that they go into, they might have an allergy to strawberries, but when they're in another persona, they don't have an allergy to strawberries. Yeah. This is how real this shiz is. So, yeah, I suppose I say that in part just to put a bit of this magic into the space of like how I understand I had to go and let myself go through the waves of trauma therapy, because there is so much for us to bring out now. So to anybody who is working through this or has a sense that maybe trauma is a part of their journey, and to shake out or heal it in whatever way is right for them as part of their journey, you will get so much more than what you're going in for. It's not just about healing the fatigue or healing the pain, or maybe for you it is, like maybe for some it is, and that's totally perfect. But I make up for most to some degree. There's going to be parts of your soul that just come rushing back, and new capacities that you have to be in joy and fully yourself that you never even realized was going to come. And that will ripple out to every layer of your life and every relationship. May not be smooth, but it will be awesome.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're really speaking to the importance of trauma healing on the path to wellness. And I heard you say in the beginning that you didn't even think that you had any trauma. And I think that's really common unless someone has experienced like what we call big T trauma, like a big event or experience that they feel like is objectively trauma by the standards of the world. I think a lot of people, that's what I find in my practice and also in the community circles I'm in, is that people feel like they haven't had trauma if they haven't had that big T trauma. And so what you're speaking to today is really important. Like you discovered on your journey, you felt guided to this clinic, and then you saw what it was about and you were like, but I don't have trauma. I don't think this is for me. And then you discovered the different ways that these smaller experiences were sequestered in your system. I love the way you talked about the invisible cloak. Yeah, that's a really great way of describing the way that our system hides and funnelizes and sequesters energy until we can process it. Because that's part of the definition of trauma, is an experience that can't be metabolized and processed in the moment, whether that's lack of social connection and community support or physiological support within the body, or emotional resilience. And so, yeah, I think that's really important to kind of take in, because I heard you say, yeah, I didn't think I had trauma, but I did. And exploring it has brought you so much vitality and embodiment and creativity and movement and fluidity and wisdom into your lived life experience.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just one little piece that's arisen in me as I was hearing you say that. Yeah. Which is, you know, as human beings, we're all linked. And this is very often obvious to us with our nearest and dearest and our families. And often, well, I'll speak from the I. When I went into a trauma clinic, it sent ripples through the whole of my family, of course. And one of the first big pieces that I had to then work through was the guilt and the obligation of what does this look like, that this is. And so I feel that it's really important to speak to, and it very much links with what you just said around, it can just be lots of little things, and it can, as if somebody looked at my life, looked like a really normal life with not big catastrophes. But there can be that piece of like the fear of how it would make the family or the parents feel, or how it looks. And I have the most incredible family and the most wonderful parents who did everything and are deeply loving, visionary, caring people. It's not anybody's fault. So I guess I speak to this just if there is anybody who's feeling held back, or how would it look to, in this world right now, things are quite upside down. Like the Course in Miracles says, the thinking of the world is at currently kind of like 180 degrees upside down from the thinking of love or the thinking of the true essence of the universe. So even the people who necessarily were present when there was things in our life that happened that were difficult, were doing the absolute best they could. And it doesn't mean that anybody did something wrong. We're all now making our way into new territory from a recent and more elongated human history, which has been kind of upside down. And now we're all trying to get back up again and create something even more beautiful. Yeah.
I think what you just spoke to is really important, because a big element of trauma can be shame. And what you just spoke to is really recognizing that we're living in a world that is upside down right now, and all of us healing and getting right with ourselves and with the web of life. It's a personal journey, but it's also not. It's what's happening in the collective, for all of us, and the healing that each of us is doing is nourishing the collective. We don't heal in isolation. We actually heal together, and we share our healing with each other.
Yeah, this is so true and so beautiful. Yeah.
I was wondering if there's anything else, like if there's any specific practices or avenues of direction that you would encourage people to move into from your experience on your healing journey and also with your clients.
Yeah. Yeah, I think two pieces, and really I've already spoken to them. It's just reiterating. The first is that if someone watching if you sense that there is something here for you, that there's something that your body has been communicating to you that wants to be released, given space, shaken out, received with kindness, and you are wanting support, then that can look different for everybody. And you know, and your body knows. And my first invitation is to take some time, whether it be daily, just a handful of minutes, or today, 10 minutes with a timer, just to tune into what is alive here in your incredible vessel. And so that might be just return to the start of this video and sit with Moon's practice and ground in, and then turn it off and set your timer for another 5 minutes. And you are so wise, and your body is so very wise, and your intuition knows what you need. So even just a few minutes with the intention to hear what your body, your gut, your feet, something that's been hurting which you haven't known why is communicating to you, is so powerful. And you don't need to know how to do that, because setting the intention when the body is given space, it will speak to you. Yeah, so that's the first piece. And then the second is simply to tune into what kind of support you want. And it might be that you want to contact one of us who's been through this or something similar, you know, Moon or I as your coaches, or Francis or Jen as the Women's Wellness Circle. Or it might be that you're wanting something like somatic experiencing, and to have a Google of that and to see what might be right for you. Or it's a relatively new modality, but there's also somatic psychotherapists. So if you want someone in person in your locality, you could also Google that. But it's your wisdom. That's my main thing. You will know, and go gently, and one little breath, one little bite at a time. Yeah.
Thank you, Ellie. I think that last part is so important. One little breath, one little bite at a time. And if you notice, that's what happened here today. Like Ellie shared pieces of her journey, shared pieces of knowledge about trauma and trauma healing, and then we stopped and we all breathed together and we checked in with ourselves and our bodies to see what's alive, what's landing in me, what am I feeling in this moment. And such an important component of the trauma healing journey, because as Ellie said so articulately, it's not like happening up here in the cognition, it's in our bodies. And so part of coming into our bodies, it's not the I know, it's coming in. It's like, what do I feel? How is this landing in me? What's happening for me? What's alive in this moment? What am I experiencing when I hear someone talk about their trauma, when I hear someone talk about the nature of trauma, how is that landing in me, so that these pieces that have been hidden by the invisible cloak can start to reveal themselves to us, so that we can receive back of their vitality and we can give healing to those pieces and parts of us that have long been sequestered away. Yeah. So there's a lot that's been spoken to in our conversation today. And so if something's landing with you, I encourage you to journey back through, listen to it again, engage with it again, and see what's here for you, you know, from really connecting with yourself and feeling like, is there trauma here? Is trauma a part of my journey? And opening, you know, to maybe you might find that, oh, maybe I'm like Ellie, like I didn't think I have any, but maybe I do. Or maybe you've long had this deep awareness, I have a lot of trauma and I need support with healing that, and really taking in these are small conversations and yet big conversations, and small pieces and yet big pieces that have been offered to you today from Ellie's journey of just taking time each day to connect in with your body and feel what's there and connect with what's there and to move with what's there. And then to really, you know, invoke an intention to be with that and to meet that and to move with that, and really inviting, do I need more support on my journey? Because I will say from my experience, and Ellie, it sounds like from your experience as well, it can be really helpful and a lot of times necessary to have support with trauma healing. Because part of the nature of trauma is it's something that happens in isolation. When we experience something together, no matter how big it is, if it's held within a community context, if you're returning to the vessel of family, of community, of ceremony, of connection with other human beings, even very big things can heal relatively quickly. And part of trauma is that it happens in isolation. And so a lot of times the healing aspects of the healing happen in relational work, in connective work. And there's a lot we do on our own that's relational and connective with ourselves and with our bodies. And for some of the bigger pieces, having support in a container that can hold you and meet you and see you is a big part of the healing. Yeah. So that was a lot. And I hope you can feel all the ways in which you're being held during this conversation and during this time. And we're going to move towards a close. Ellie, I'm wondering if there's anything else you want to say or share before we do a closing practice.
No. Just thank you, Moon. Yeah.
Thank you, Ellie, for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and your beingness with all of us today. Yeah. So let's return to where we started, allowing your eyes to close if that feels good, and one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. And just taking a moment to really meet yourself. To reconnect with your roots and your groundedness into Mother Earth and the medicine of Mother Earth that's within your body. Taking a moment to expand and connect with Father Sky and the medicine of Father Sky that's within your body. And a moment to connect with your own heart. Just simply ask the question, what have I received here today in our time? Has there been a piece of healing for me? Place of discomfort? A place of inquiry? What has shown up for me today? What would I like to bring with me forward on my journey? Just take a moment to set an intention around your healing and anything you've received here today that you want to bring forward. Just a small piece. Let it be small. And just allow yourself to breathe and let that intention grow. And feel the power of it in your body and in your mind. And when that's fully nestled in and established within your being, taking a moment to open up into the circle and the space we're all sharing together in the Women's Wellness Circle. And to wish all of the women here that may your intentions for your healing be fulfilled. May you have received exactly what you need today. And may the steps before you in your journey open up. That you always have the support you need on your path of healing. And may your healing journey be an inspiration to all others on the path of healing. Let's just take another moment to open it up even a little bit wider and to offer our prayers and our intentions that our healing benefit all those that we share life with at this time on Mother Earth. That we heal for the generations that have come before us and the generations coming after us. Wishing you all well on your path of healing. Until next time.